there's a button on my phone that I can push that says cancel the class for tomorrow. And I look at it sometimes and I go, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to touch it. And that to me is a victory. And then I show up and I know because I've committed to it and I do it. And then every time I walk out of there, I always think, I'm so happy I did that. The rest of my day is going to be easy because I just did the hardest thing early in the day. Hey everybody, welcome back to Be That Lawyer with Fretzin. We are here as usual to help you be that lawyer, confident, organized, and a skilled rainmaker. And as you all know, I love to bring on amazing guests. Today is no different. Mike Chastaine is here with me, everybody. Welcome to the show, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really looking forward to this. It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, we've had some transitions in your world that I think are going to really be interesting and eye-opening for the folks that are listening today. But as we do every single episode, we want to hit that quote of the show. Now, I get quotes from the Dalai Lama and I get quotes from all different places. This one is from the movie The Matrix. So it's sort of a made-up quote, but I want to hear your take on it. And it's, who has time? Who has time? But then if we do not ever take time, how can we ever have time? Yeah, so talk about that. Welcome to the show and tell us why that quote.
Well, thank you. Well, the reality is that the clock just keeps ticking, right? And so you have to make time. You have to set your own priorities. And if you don't take time, you will never have time. So that always stuck out at me that, even a evil character like the Merovingi got that.
Yeah, yeah. But it's true. It's like I'm a big time management proponent. And it's like, okay, if you're billable, whether you flat fee or you billable hour, whatever, your time is literally money, how you spend your time. And yet you're not trying to learn time management as a skill. You'd rather just wing it and hope that your time works out. I don't really understand that.
Well, I look at it as from the perspective that there's no such thing as time management because you don't manage time. What you manage is your conduct.
Okay.
What are you going to do in the next hour that's going to move you forward or are you just spinning your wheels?
Yeah. But it's I guess it's like we have a process for how we make a pot of chili, right? With a recipe and the timing of it and everything. But we don't have a system or a process for how we're going to run our day, how we're going to take things into our brains and decide quickly, is this something that I should do now? Is this something I should do later? Is this something I should not do at all? Delegate. How, that's where I'm saying, like, I was that person, feather on the wind, stacks of crap everywhere. And I, 5,000 unanswered emails and inbox and all that. So I'm just saying, like, how do you function that way when you're not organized?
Yeah. And I've been there, Steve. So I totally get it. I think that the first step is that you've got to be intentional about your time. What is it that you want to do? Take control. Don't let Facebook and your boss or your clients dictate what you're going to do. You've got to get on the horse and run it. Once you start doing that, once you take the initiative to be in control, then it's really just about setting priorities. What are the things that you should be doing? What are the things that you shouldn't be doing? And that's an evolving process, right? So just as an example, if taking care of your health, which should be a top priority for everybody, where is that in your calendar?
Yeah.
And if it's not in your calendar, then you are not taking control of that part of your life.
Yeah.
So, time blocking and using the 80-20 rule. And I mean, there's lots of tools for that. But the first part is you got to take control. You've got to make that decision. And once you do, then the other pieces start to come together, I think.
Well, let's start off talking about the attorney brain, thinking about the brain, how the brain works, and what's the attorney brain that doesn't allow for that organization, the proper habits, and controlling one's day?
Yeah, I mean, the brain really, when you boil it down to, is just a series of chemical reactions going on in your life. And you do have the ability to control those chemical reactions. You do have the ability to get dopamine and serotonin and get into flow. But if you sit around and stress and worry about stuff, then you've got cortisol flowing through your brain and norepinephrine. And these things actually block your ability to learn and understand and improve.
Hmm.
So the first thing you got to do is you got to start controlling your brain. What is it that's going on? What are you intaking? So just as an example, if you're spending all your time scrolling, doom scrolling through your feed and getting all upset, and you do that first thing in the morning, how have you set up your day?
Yeah.
Very poorly, right?
Yeah.
So, this is one of those things where I had to change my morning routine, from watching the news and all of that stuff. I had to get away from that. It's not that I don't want to be informed. It's just I can't have those chemicals kicking around in my head and be productive.
Brian Tracy's an oldie but goodie, and he used to say, and I don't think he came up with this, but I heard it from him, which was, "You are what you think about most of the time."
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's people that worry a lot. Well, then that's what they become. They become a worrier. People that think negatively about others, they end up kind of being a negative person around others. So I think there is something to be said about we need to really control our thoughts and control what we put in our heads. I mean, taking away the news or not doom scrolling in the morning. What are some other things that help to keep you positive that you would help a lawyer figure out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, it's about exercising control over your day. When you get up in the morning, what are you going to do today? And at the end of the day, if you accomplished everything that you actually set out to do, would you feel that you were successful? So part of it is defining success. So for example, I meditate virtually every day. I think in the last 3 years, I've missed maybe 2 days. That 10 minutes is a victory for me every day.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to start. Then I write my gratitude journal. And then if I have some time, I'll do some yoga or whatever. But those few things, which only take maybe a half hour, 40 minutes, set my entire day up for being productive. Then I just start ticking off the challenges that I have to go through. So I would say starting your day with victories, little victories, even if it's just making your bed, can have a huge impact on how the day turns out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I was a victim of bad organization, bad habits, and bad brain work. I think one of the things that really matters to me is committing to exercise in the morning and sticking with it. And there's a button on my phone. I've been doing Pilates for over 2 years now, and it's just me in a room full of women, and that's fine. Okay. And then they always start off with, "Ladies, let's do this. Ladies, let's do that." And then she figures out there's a guy in the room.
Right.
But there's a button on my phone that I can push that says cancel the class for tomorrow. And I look at it sometimes and I go, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to touch it. And that to me is a victory. And then I show up and I know because I've committed to it and I do it. And then every time I walk out of there, I always think, I'm so happy I did that. The rest of my day is going to be easy because I just did the hardest thing early in the day.
Right. Well, that's Robin Sharma's the 5 a.m. Club. I mean, that's what that book's all about. And, I read that and for many years, I got up at 5 in the morning and followed his prescriptions. I don't get up at 5 in the morning anymore, but the idea is the same thing, is to have victory in the morning, so that, you're much more likely to have victory in the afternoon and in the evening and go to bed knowing, today was a good day. Today was a productive day, even if the results weren't, what you were hoping for.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing I want to transition to is we spend so much time thinking and talking about what sort of went wrong and giving ourselves a hard time about that tough client meeting or about that, I didn't get as much done today as I wanted to get done. And we don't really spend enough time thinking about the wins. That my point is, like, go back and pull the good out of your day and pull the good about where you've come. And I think that's a really powerful way to get into into a more positive state.
I mean, we do something in our firm that I would encourage other firms to do. We have a thing called the Happy Box. And in the Happy Box, any employee, anyone there can write something good about somebody else. And once a month, we open that box and we read them all because, I think humans are hardwired to remember the bad things and forget the good things.
Yeah.
So this is our opportunity to remember that, Shirley did a great job in collections and our phone person, set more appointments this month than ever before or whatever it was. The important thing is that everybody gets a pat on the back, an acknowledgement, and we remind ourselves of why we're actually doing what we're doing. Journaling is really helpful if you track what went well, and then you can go back and go, this month wasn't a complete bust, right?
Right,
So
right. No, I love that. I love that. I think I've yet to meet anyone who journals and doesn't say that it's a game changer or that it's been super helpful in their life. So I think that's something people should be thinking about. Let's talk a little bit about not time management, time mastery. Let's talk a little bit about how to prioritize a day.
learn the 80-20 rule and understand that 20% of your efforts are going to produce 80% of your results. So what falls into that 80%? And for everyone it's going to be a little bit different, but what is the one thing that you could do today that will make tomorrow easier?
Hmm.
And then start blocking off time to do that. Now, the challenge that most lawyers have is they don't actually block off time to think, to literally sit down, or in my case, I do most of my thinking on a bike. I go out and I ride and I just let my mind wander and I come up with ideas about, okay, let's run this entire scenario of what would happen if I did this. And then I come back and I jot it down. And the benefit of not being in the office when I do that is that nobody can bug me, right? The phone's not ringing, no email. But you gotta, no matter what your situation is, whether it's going for a walk in the park or whatever, you've got to set aside time to think, because that's what we do for a living, right? Is thinking. It's not writing emails. That nobody's paying you to do that. What they're paying you to do is come up with a strategy to get them the results that they're looking for. So you got to take the time to do that. And I think once you develop that discipline, and it takes discipline, you've got to make yourself do it, set an appointment with yourself on the calendar, and then keep that appointment. And then however works for you, like I say, for me, it's on a bike, but, go walk in the woods or walk around the hallway or whatever, and spend time thinking about how you can do things better than you're doing them now.
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges we have today is we don't not only schedule time to think, we don't sit on the can or sit over a meal or take a walk without a podcast on, without doom scrolling, without something filling up that downtime. And
Right.
and I think what we're suggesting to everybody is, 20 minutes to walk the dog or on a bike or whatever it might be. That's important to not be distracted. Think about what am I watching or listening to right now that isn't even interesting? And maybe I could just have some quiet time to think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that needs to be built in, and that can actually include reading. I mean, I think, lawyers don't spend enough time just reading books. And I don't mean law books, and I don't mean police reports or whatever, but self-improvement books or Stephen King or Tom Clancy or whatever. I got a bookshelf full of people that can teach me something, but I gotta go do the work and read it. The main thing is that you have to prioritize yourself, that you're important enough to get better. Because if you don't, you won't get better. You'll just keep grinding the same stuff out.
Well, I'm going to add that I think one of the biggest challenges lawyers have is they don't have good habits. What would you say are a couple of the ways lawyers can develop stronger habits to get more done or to take that time that normally wouldn't be scheduled to think or to work out or whatever? It's the stuff that they just can't fit in their day because of poor habits.
Yeah, and that's a great question. My suggestion and what really worked for me is that I take 10 minutes to meditate every day.
Okay.
And the reason why that's so powerful is one, I'm important enough to spend the time. Okay, I can give myself 10 minutes. Two, there is nothing else going on. There's no distractions. There's nothing else going on. And I begin to build the discipline to have quiet time. I gave myself that victory in the morning. I gave myself the discipline to be quiet and listen to whatever noise is going on in my head, and there's a lot of that, but to understand that, okay, this is how you actually begin to think. This is how the brain works. And if there's too much input, too much noise, then parts of it just shut down.
I went through transcendental meditation with my wife, I want to just put a number on it, say 10 years ago. The thing that really struck me, and again, I didn't come up with this, but I'll tell everybody who doesn't know what this is, what meditation does, is I want you to think about yourself on a small boat on the top of the ocean during the most horrendous storm. You're being tossed and turned and thrown every direction. You're wet. You're just scared out of your mind, like you're gonna die. And if you go 500 feet under the level of the surface to the bottom of the ocean, there's a little fish swimming by, and it's calm, and there's nothing going on up top at all. And
Right.
meditation is supposed to do that. It's taking you from the chaos, maybe a twist to your book there, to down to where it's calm. And so the idea about saying a mantra and getting rid of all the mess in your head and just being calm for 10 or 20 minutes, and getting off that boat because you're on that boat.
Right.
It's the equivalent of getting multiple hours of sleep each day, doing that 10 or
Yes.
20 minutes of meditation. So it's for most people that get into it, they never want to stop doing it because it's the one time in their day or two times in their day where they can find that true calm.
Absolutely. And understand, and to just amplify that, it doesn't mean that the thoughts aren't still zipping through your brain, but you're noticing them and letting them go.
Yeah.
So you're not getting all caught up in, the latest chaos that's going on, but you're just letting it go. And that's why I named the book Never Mind the Chaos, right? You just have to sort of ignore that, control what you can control, and let everything else go. Because if you can't control it, why worry about it?
Yeah.
You got enough on your plate.
So I'd like to talk for a moment about goals. And I obviously, with business development, working with lawyers, we are all about setting goals. The thing that I think people don't understand is you could set a goal and say you're going to hit $1 million. That doesn't really mean anything. It's what's beneath and behind and under the goal that really matters. How do you break that down?
I mean, there was a period of time where, I wanted to have $1 million law firm, and we did achieve that. But the most important thing for me was, what was my day going to be like? How did I want my average day to look and feel like? And so I began to build that. That was the goals. And then I go, okay, well, in order to do that, how much money do I need to make? All right, well, if that's how much money I need to make, and having a lot of data on our firm, I knew the cost and of everything, the ROI of everything that we did, then I could easily go, well, okay, I need this many clients, which means my marketing budget has to be, thus and such. And all the math just kind of worked backwards. But I built it around, how did I want my day to be? How many hours did I want to actually practice law? And how many hours did I want to manage the firm or build the firm so that one day I could walk away and have someone give me a bunch of money for it, which is ultimately what I was able to do.
Yeah. And so again, it's really great to have an objective or a goal and say, I want to hit $1 million. But if you're not able to break down strategically how you're going to spend your time, how you're going to spend your day, how is what you're doing getting you to the number? How is it driving to the number? If all you're doing is billing hours and that's your day every day, you're not going to get to $1 million in origination or in growth of clients. You're just going to bill hours and be a spoke in the wheel. Okay.
Right.
So we need to figure out, all right, what do I need to let go? Whether that's management, whether that's client work, whether that's administrative, technology, marketing, and delegate out or get done a different way so that I can take my own effort and put it out there on the field, building business, developing new strategic partnerships, referral partnerships, spending more time with clients, things like that.
Absolutely.
And that's where I feel like it's great to have a goal, but that's where we need to develop the habits of business development and running a proper day and having, enough common sense to understand if all you're doing all day is putting out fires and dealing with clients and dealing with minutia, you're never going to achieve that kind of goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I would say setting a revenue goal is nice, but the real goal you want to set is, what's your net? What is your profit?
Yeah.
My dad used to say, if you want to make $1 million, spend $2 million. Yeah, well, okay, that's good. I wanted to have a profit. So, um, that's I think that's the goal that you got to look at. And the other thing that really became important to me is, when I started on this journey, I think I was billing at 350 an hour, and I was doing all my own bookkeeping. So I was paying my bookkeeper $350 an hour.
Yeah. Highest paid bookkeeper
Well,
around.
yeah, that is, that was just plain stupid, right? And when I realized that I didn't have to do that, when I was able to let go enough to let someone else do it, oh my goodness, not only did it get done better and I didn't have all the stress, but I started making more money. I mean, I realized that if I billed 90 minutes a month more than I was billing, I could pay for my bookkeeper and save about 10 hours a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, once you understand that math,
It opens everything up because it isn't just the bookkeeping.
yep,
It's actually, I recommend lawyers take an audit of their day or a couple days and say, hey, from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m., what did you do all day? You might find 2, 3, 4 hours a day that are not at your billable rate or that aren't the
easily.
best use of your time. And then the next thing you know, you add that up over a week and over a month, and you're really making some big mistakes. So that might be a good transition though to our game-changing book there, Mike, which is Profit First. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that book. We've heard that before on the show, but love to hear your spin on it.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with Mike McAllowitz on a couple of occasions, and the day he gave us Profit First, I read it on the plane. It basically is an accounting system that instead of the traditional accounting system, revenue minus expenses equal profit, and usually at the bottom you've spent all your money. It's revenue minus profit equals your budget,
Mm,
right? So you pay, and my dad told me this years ago, and I wish I'd have listened to him, but pay yourself first, you know. So even if it's 1%, I started out at 1%, a penny out of every dollar came in, went into a special profit account. It adds up. And that's really McAllowitz's idea of how to do that. Now, the other piece of it that was really important to me was I began to look at my bank account every day. So I knew exactly what was going on, which meant I wasn't caught by surprise. I didn't have bills that came up that I didn't, know about. And if you put energy into something, it will grow. And
yeah.
that's what Profit First is about.
Awesome. Well, everybody check that out. And let's wrap up thanking our sponsors. Of course, we've got PIMCon coming up for the PI folks that want to go to a top-notch conference this year in October. You can go to sign up. I think it's pimcon.org. And then, of course, we've got the Law Her podcast. Everybody check out Sonia and her amazing podcast. Mike, if people want to get in touch with you, they want to hear more about MC Consulting, they want to grab your new book, Never Mind the Chaos, what are the best ways for them to reach you?
So you can go to my website, michaelchastain.com. It's Chastain spelled with an E at the end. Or you can just contact me directly through at Mike at michaelchastain.com. Uh, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn at this point. So there's a number of ways to get a hold of me. And I'd be happy to, what I offer basically is 45 minutes to sit down and kind of evaluate where you are. Is there something I can do to help you? If there's not, then great, you're rocking it. But typically we can find something that will either buy you more time or put more money in your pocket or just make your life easier. And then of course you can get my book on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's Never Mind the Chaos. Um, uh, I think this is a book that every lawyer should read, at least to get an understanding of what's really going on in your head. Because we do go through some of the biology and the attention span issues that we all suffer from.
Squirrel, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Adult
exactly.
ADHD. If you
Well,
don't,
I
if
mean,
you're not diagnosed, you
there's a
still probably have
study.
it.
Yeah, there's a study that suggests that our attention span is shorter than that of a goldfish.
Oh boy. Okay.
I don't know if that's true or not, but we do know that our attention spans are way too short, and it's like any other muscle. You got to exercise it, and that's where meditation helps. But other things too. How do you get it so that you can focus for an hour without looking at your email or going to Facebook? Can you do that discipline? And if you can, then you can put out a much better product.
It's challenging for us Gen Xers, let alone the folks under us and younger than us. Holy mackerel. Well, listen, Mike, thank you so much for coming on and kind of going back and forth with me to give 5-10 good ideas and takeaways for folks that are trying to get their head in the right place, because, growing your own book of business, whether you're at a firm or you're on your own, and having your own clients and running your own show is one of the greatest and most rewarding ways to build a career where you feel like you're in control and have that personal freedom and wealth. And that's what this show is all about. And I think what you're doing and what I'm doing is instrumental to helping people get on the right track with that. So thanks so much.
Oh, very happy to do it. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate the platform.
Yeah, my pleasure. And thank you all for hanging out with Mike and I today on Be That Lawyer. We're here to really try to, flip the switch on your brain and give you, practical, actionable things each and every week, twice a week, to help you be that lawyer, confident, organized, and a skilled rainmaker. Take care, everybody. Be safe, be well. We'll talk again soon.